So to talk about point slope form and introduce it, I want to take you back to probably a lesson that you did last year with Mr. Meeks in 7th grade where he said, ready? He introduced a form, and the very first time he introduced it to you, he put all these letters up there, and you were like, what does that mean? This was before you even knew what a linear equation was. And then he may have, at least I know when I taught 7th grade, I said, well, here is this y and this x that I'm going to darken in because that's going to be in almost every equation. You know, sometimes we have a y and not an x, or an x and not a y. But most of the time we have a y and an x, and that's what creates a linear equation, right? And then we know that these numbers change. The b value and the m value, and we know what they are. So after having worked with this for a year, I would say, hey, the slope of this line is 5, and the beginning value, which we call the y-intercept, is -3. I just gave you this tidbit of information. Could you write an equation in slope-intercept form knowing where they're supposed to go? Yeah. You know that this is going to be the m and go in front of the x, and that this is going to be the b. You know that, right? So Mr. Meeks may have said, write an equation in slope-intercept form. So you put the 5 in here and the -3 in here, and you said 5x minus 3, right? And within this problem, do you still see your y and your x? It was just those that kind of filled in. We're going, and I may have even said, hey, y equals -1/2 x plus 4. Go the other way. Give me the slope. Give me the y-intercept. You can pull that out just as easy as you can put the values in, right? So what is the slope of that line? There's no way you made it this far in honors algebra without knowing, yes, that the slope is -1/2 and the b is 4. We're doing that exact same thing today with just point slope. So when you do your point slope, I want you to start with y minus, this is in the dark marker if you chose to use that, so put that down, please. And then I want you to leave a little space and put an equal sign. Then I want you to leave another little space and put a parenthesis. And then an x minus. And then close the parenthesis. So here's what you have. You still have your x and your y, just like you had your x and your y here, which creates 3 open spaces for you to put in values. The hardest part about this is just remembering which value to put where. That's all it is. So I have to give you some information. So I have to say to you, hey, I want you to write an equation in point slope line with a slope of, say, 5, and it goes through the point actually don't say negative yet, just say positive, 4, 7. All right. So I want to point something out to you. The names of these forms, I'll put that back up in a second, are chosen for a reason, except for standard form. Slope-intercept form, use those 2 words because just by looking at it without doing any math or picking up a pencil or doing any calculations, you can tell what the slope is and you can tell what the intercept is, right? I mean, that's not a coincidence. They named it slope-intercept form. There's the slope, there's the intercept. I want you to notice the name of this form. It's called what? Point slope. So just from looking at this equation, you're going to be able to tell me 2 things every single time it's in point slope form. A point on the line and the slope. Well, guess what? I know that M stands for slope, so I know as an 8th grade student right now, every time Mrs. Z gives me a equation in point slope form, the number in front of the x is going to be the m. Oh, hey, isn't that what it was here too? So whatever number's in this spot, you know you can tell me that that's the slope. The point is a little trickier. So are you ready to figure that out? It has something to do with this y1 and this x1. So let's talk about what that little dropped x, that x1 that's dropped down is, right? So I have 3 spots. So let's put, I don't know if you want to do highlighters. Let's put this spot, that number there. You don't have to do this. This is just kind of visually going to, put this here. And let's do purple. Okay, so I got 3 spots to fill. And luckily, I got 3 numbers over here. I just got to figure out which one goes where. Well, which one's the easiest one? slope will go there. So if you are a color coder, then you can kind of see, oh, if the slope is 5, that's what this spot is reserved for. You know how you pull up to like a mall or somewhere and it says this parking spot is reserved for the president of the company, right? This spot is reserved for the slope and nothing else can go there. If that does, you get a ticket, right? Okay. Then I got to figure out what goes where. Well, I got a 4 and I got a 7. You want to take a guess at which one should go where? According to the formula? Yes. That's a great way to look at it. This, in the formula, by the way, let me just write this. Y minus Y1 equals M times X minus X1. It sounds crazy. You're going to be knowing it off the top of your head by today. So she said, well, the X value needs to go with the other X. So yeah, that's absolutely right. Which means if this is the X from point 1 and this is the Y, then the 4 needs to go there. Right? And if this is the Y value, then it needs to go with the Y value, and the 7 goes right there. So if you look at it, I mean, and I'm all for like you using whatever you need to remember. A lot of kids just think, oh, put it in order. Put the first one first and the second one second. No. So it goes pink and then purple, but then purple and then pink. So whatever you need to do to remember, oh, those points, once they're in the ordered pair, kind of have to crisscross to go in the right spot in the equation. Yes?
Why couldn't you put 5 parentheses x minus 4 equals y minus 7?
And you could. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, his question was, can I just write this first and then the equal sign in this and kind of flip that around? Yeah, that doesn't ever matter. It's just you don't see it like that often. I mean, it's just like I could write 5x minus 3 is equal to y, couldn't I? We don't see it a lot like that, but as long as you know that it could be that way, that's okay. I will always give it to you with the y first. Okay, so that means if I have an equation that has a slope of 1/2, and it goes through the points 3, 7. Let's say 8. We already did a 7. The best way for you to do this is this. Set it up. You know it's going to be a y minus. Save a little spot for the y. Save a little spot for the slope. X minus. Okay? If you want to start every problem like that, go for it. Some people are able to just write it from left to right in a row without stopping. You might get there. You might be there now. Who knows? Okay, so the slope is what? 1/2, and it goes there. That's always the easiest part. Nobody ever like gets that wrong. It's knowing what to put where. So the 3 is the x, so put it with the x, and the 8 is the y, so put it with the y, and that's it. Okay? There's one little twist to it now, though. If I were to say, if the slope is -1 and the point is 5, -10, that little thing right there is going to cause a little bit of an issue, but not a huge issue. So y minus space x minus. Save a spot for the slope, save a spot for your x, and a spot for your y. So this isn't really like a whole bunch of math you got to do in your head. It's just knowing what to put where, right? We'll get to the math part later. So, slope, let's get it out. Oh, it's a -1. Do you think I need to put a -1? Could I just maybe put a negative? Does that mean slope of -1? Yeah. I mean, you could put it. You don't have to. If it makes you feel better, put it. All right. So I'm going to put this x in this spot, but when I go to put the -10, what do I have in bold? What is part of the formula? A minus sign, right? So could I just put 10 and be done? No, I'm not. 10 is not what y is. So this is what's really weird. If you ever saw y minus 10, I have programmed your brain for the last 4 months to look at that as a -10, haven't I? Right? Oh my gosh, you have to kind of undo that for this lesson. Your brain is going to look at this and go, oh, that's a -4. But do you see why I use the black marker now? Because that minus sign is part of the formula, which means if I cover it up, that 10 looks positive to me, and it can't be. It's actually negative. So what can I do to fix that? I mean, you could do this, but we never see it written like that. We just do what, Alex? We do. So watch what I'm going to do. If I have mine, you don't have anything written yet, I'm just going to rewrite this. You already got your negative x and you got this. You know what you're going to do? I'm going to put it in red so you see that I kind of accounted for the fact that I was subtracting a negative, and that's why that's a plus. Okay? So be very careful when we do this one. If your slope is 10 and the point is -1, comma, +8. Try it. Try to put things in the right spot. If you don't have to start off with the blanks, then you can go left to right, you go right for it. It just simplifies things. So the y goes here. And I'm having to subtract a -1, so you're going to have a +1. So when I check this, I'm looking for 3 things. You got the slope in the right spot, and do you have the right positive or negative, and are those in the right spot? Okay, let's go backwards. Let me give you the equation. Y minus 2 is equal to 1/3 times x minus 5. Undo what we've been doing. I'm going to give you the equation in point slope form, and I want to know what is the slope and what is a point. This is where it gets a little tricky. No questions. The slope is 1/3. That's easy peasy. Nobody will get that wrong. Unless you're not paying attention. Then you might. The point. Be careful. I just put it in those spots a couple minutes ago. Now I got to take it out. Well, which number is in the x spot? Okay. And is it, oh my gosh, it looks like a -5, doesn't it? And I'm going to be so tempted to write -5. And if anybody's going to make a mistake after 15 years, that's a mistake they're going to make. They're going to put a -5 right there because that's what their eyeballs are seeing. But that minus is part of what? The formula. So if I kind of cover it up, that 5 is a negative, is it? So this has to be a +5. Same deal for the 2. That 2 is actually, even though it looks like a negative to us, we have to treat it in point slope form like it's a positive. So look, I just did 2 things opposite, didn't I? You would think it goes 2, 5, but it doesn't. It goes 5, 2. And then a lot of kids, after they learn the formula, they'll go, oh, I always just look at it and I take the opposite. It looks like a -2 to me, but I really know it's a +2. Looks like a -5. So now try this one. Y, not y equals. Y plus 4 is equal to negative times x minus 3. Give me the slope, give me the point, and then let's move on. Slope is -1, right? What is the point? Because here's the deal. There are 4 choices. It could be 4, 3, -4, -3, -4, +3, or +4, -3. Either they're both positive or both negative, or the 4 is negative or the 3 is negative. Which one is it? The 4 is, oh, because there's a plus there, they must have subtracted a what kind of 4? A -4, and it's got to go here because it's in the y spot. Are you with me? Okay? And that 3 is a minus, which means, ooh, careful, that's got to be a +3. Good? Are you with me? Okay. So now what we're going to do